Hello everyone! Sorry that I couldn't be here today, but luckily we're in 2016 so I could solve this problem anyway. Me and my group began with one full report, 158 pages, it had a lot of content and we didn't know really what audience to reach out to exactly, so depending on that we had to select the useful information to try to reach our audience. So what we did is that we had a look on the whole report, like, okay, what do we really have? And we saw there's a lot of surveys, results, recreation, all this kind of data, both from an individual perspective and from a general perspective. And then we saw, okay, what potential audience do we have here? And then we understood that, okay, maybe from an individual perspective, the main visitors that wants to do something, that the main tourists in the Sarasota and Manatee areas, they could be interested in knowing that data from an individual perspective. And then we thought that from an overall perspective, those who lives there, the residents, they could be very interested in that, because everything that all the income they have in that area represents for them a better value of their investment and of course a better standard of living. Besides from that, we also saw, okay, of course there will be also residents that are relocated, so they are new to this area. Maybe they could be interested in both things, knowing what they can do over there, like what activities they can do as visitors, and at the same time all the things they can care about, like the income their areas have for the standard of living and for their investments, the value of their investments. So that's when we thought that, okay, a potential audience could then be visitors, residents, and relocated residents. After we had found out, okay, this could be a potential audience, we also saw within the long report that we had like 4 main topics: the households, the jobs, the tourism, and the recreational part. So all of this part, we thought, okay, this needs to have useful information that we could try to like break it down and deliver in different ways to our different audiences. So you should see a tablet here with all the audience that we have and all the like topics that we intended to provide. And then we saw, okay, the main interests. So what we did is we had 4 topics where we had 2 infographics in each topic. So if we began with the household, what we provided there are, first of all, for the residents, so they can know the economical value of these areas, from like the water resources and all the economical value that represents for them, like the value of their investments, of course. And then we also had, like in the second infographic regarding just this topic, household, we have how to measure water resources and the impact of the population and these kind of things that affects residents. So in that way we could find content that is important for the residents. That's why we have like an X both in residents and relocated residents in household. And then we find out in tourism, it depends. If we see, we had 2 infographics there. One is from an overall perspective, which is good, because as better tourism, as better income, and that's something that matters for the residents. So that means that they will have better investment around the areas, living areas. So that's why we provided information for them from an overall perspective. And from another infographic with tourism from an individual perspective, from there we thought that the main visitors could be interested in knowing what spendings they can do, not only in the main like trips they have the option to choose. We mean also like restaurants, groceries, shopping, I don't know, other things that also they can know how much they will spend. So that's a good information for visitors when it is an individual perspective, and for residents and relocated residents when it's a more overall perspective. So then we found out our 2 infographics there. And then we also had the recreational part, which the first one is more like the numbers of visitors that they have in different recreations. That could be interesting for the main visitors, so they can know, okay, I don't know, swimming seems to be the most popular things to do. People always do that. So that's why we thought it's a good for visitors. And the other one is more talking about how much income each like recreational activity have, and that could be interesting for the main residents that are thinking about, okay, how good is the income around my area. And last of all, that's why we also have in the recreational X in all of them. And the last one is the jobs, where we have, of course, they care about what possibilities do we have here. In the one infographic is what possibilities we have. I don't know, maybe 22,000 positions who are open at. And that's important from the relocated residents that wants to know what they can do there and what income they could have. And also the residents as well, they can know all the job opportunities. So that's kind of how we divide it for our audience. Try to take good content that could be useful for our selected audiences. That's kind of all.